Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We are talking about my all-time absolute favorite luxury makeup. I can't believe it, but we're coming very close to the end of Mishmas here. So I squeezed this in. I slid this right in before we ended. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about my all-time favorites. I've applied as many of them to my face as possible. I did not talk about any limited edition products. There's a lot of limited edition products that could have made it to this list, but I just feel like that's torturous. You know, why are we going to talk about products that we basically can't get? So I left those off of this list, and yeah, let's just jump into it because this is going to be long. So of course, I'm starting with primer, and I do have two picks for primers because they're very, very different. The first one is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I did put this on today as like my very first layer because my skin has just been incredibly dry. And that's why I wanted to mention this particular primer because it is so nourishing. I wouldn't even call it moisturizing because I don't want you to think that you're going to be left with something greasy or you're just putting another moisturizer on your face. It doesn't feel that way. It has a much lighter, sort of fluffy kind of consistency to it, you know, versus like a dense cream. And it smooths out your skin. So it really makes for a wonderful like canvas for makeup. And so I reach for this all the time. If, you know, I feel like my skin is feeling a little parched, I reach for this. I feel like if I'm gonna be wearing makeup all day and maybe I'm putting on like a long wearing foundation or just something where I feel like my skin maybe is gonna need a little bit of help, I reach for this. So yeah, this has become like one of my all-time favorite products in general, and definitely one of my all-time favorite primers. So had to mention this. And the other one, you know, kind of toppled last year's favorite. So last year's favorite was the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. And while I still love that product, I just found myself reaching for this product a lot more than that one. And I mentioned this actually in my Best of 2021 video. These are the By Terry Brightening CC Serums. And I talk about them in terms of a primer because that's when I like to use them. I like to use it sort of either in lieu of a base or before I put a foundation down. It gives me such a beautiful glow. And so Nude Glow and Sienna Light are two new shades, which is why I talked about it in Best of 2021, because this is not a new product. But I like mixing these two. And that's, again, what I did today. I wanted to squeeze as many products onto my face as possible. So I just put like a small combination of these two and just put them like, you know, on my cheeks, on my forehead, down my nose. Usually I just sort of slather it all over my face, but I didn't do that today, again, because I'm putting a lot of makeup on my face today. So I thought, let me just kind of put it on my face strategically. But you could consider these a liquid highlight. You could consider these a base product. I know there's plenty of people who wear this in lieu of foundation. You can add this into your foundation if you want to add a little bit of glow. So it's just a really great, versatile product. And I'm so, so happy that they extended the shade range because this Sienna Light really gives me a lovely, lovely kind of like tan to my skin. It just gives me a little bit of color without looking too like self-tannerish. The Sunny Flash, which is part of their original color range, number 4, Sunny Flash, that one has like just a very kind of bronzy tone to it. And so every time I put it on, I felt like, oh my gosh, like I had to bring it all the way down my neck, you know, all those things. And I really loved the bronzy effect that it gave me. But sometimes I just didn't want like that much drama. Sometimes I just wanted just a little something. And that's what this Sienna Light does. So if you have a very light skin tone like I do, but you're tired of looking pale that day, this is a really great kind of add-in to your foundation or to your base or whatever. So that is the By Terry Brightening CC Serum. I just love it. It does have a rose scent. I like mentioning that because a lot of people do not like fragrance in their products. A lot of people especially don't like rose. So I like to mention that it doesn't bother me. I'm either at this point used to it. I really like rose scent. So I just wanted to mention that. In terms of foundation, I also have two to talk about. Usually I just like to mention one thing, but these, just like the primers, these two products are very, very different. So let's start with what I have on my face today. And this is a repeat from Best of 2021, probably Best of 2020 as well. This is the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation. This is what I have on my face today. And I go between shades 3 and 4. Today I decided to go for 4. I was probably feeling pretty strong because I put some of the Sienna Light on. And I think it's a good match. I had to bring it down my neck a little bit. But if you use me as a shade reference, I think 3 is probably a better one. 4, if you're looking just for like a little bit more warmth in your skin tone. Anyway, the formula of this foundation is incredible. It's very liquidy. It has a very sort of like lightweight consistency. The coverage of it, I would say it's very light. I like light coverage. I'm not really into like a heavy coverage makeup look. It's so perfecting in a filtered kind of way. So it like just perfects your complexion, your skin tone in every way other than just like, you know, coverage. It's so unmask-like, and it has like this beautiful, beautiful like sheen to it. It's far from looking like a foundation that has like a little bit of like liquid highlight in there. It's not that. It just makes your skin look really, really soft. I feel like it refracts light in this really incredible way. It's just stunning, and I love, love, love this foundation. I do know people with oilier skin types. I have a very dry skin type. I know people with oilier skin types use this and love this. So I know it works for like the whole range of skin type. And I love this. So year after year, I talk about this foundation. You know, I go through a lot of different foundations. I try a lot of different foundations. The Kier Weiss, the Beautiful Tint, was my pick for Best of 2021 since that came out this past year. But this is like, you know, again, like if my entire makeup collection were to disappear and I had to run out and repurchase everything, this is the first thing I would repurchase. So this is my foundation pick. So the other foundation I wanted to mention is so different, which is why I felt like it was okay to talk about 2 different foundations. It's the Chantecaille Future Skin Cushion Foundation. And I love this foundation. It has more coverage than the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation. It's a cushion foundation, so I feel like the texture of the foundation is a little bit thicker. It's creamier than the Surratt Dewdrop. I'm realizing I really like foundations that make my skin look really, really soft. So there's some sort of like filtering effect that's going on. And I find that with this Chantecaille. There's no fragrance in this foundation. There's no fragrance in the Surratt Dewdrop. So just FYI, since we're talking about fragrance. But this really is just very, very skin perfecting. And I think this is a good alternative. Like if you like the Surratt Dewdrop, but you need just a little bit more coverage, we all have those days. The Chantecaille Future Skin Cushion is incredible, incredible. And yeah, it'll give you a little bit more coverage. So let's go ahead and talk about concealer. Now, this is no different from 2021, and you guys probably are not surprised, but the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer, it's just great. It's just great. It's phenomenal. Again, this year I tried a lot of different concealers. There's some that I really, really enjoy, but this is it. This is the one. It looks great under my eyes, on my eyelids as a primer, on my face if I want to cover up some sunspots. It's just fantastic. And I now have 2 shades, 2N and 1N. And I've been using 2N because yeah, I was just, you know, I had gotten some color in Morocco. Anyway, I had purchased 1N, didn't really get a chance to use it. And now I'm using 1N because I've lost any color that I got when I went to Morocco. So I'm using it basically underneath my eyes, and texture is wonderful. It's really creamy. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't fade. It doesn't cake up. It doesn't sink into fine lines. Like it is, in my book, for my dry skin, this is like the perfect concealer, and we're going on like 2 or 3 years now with this. So no surprise there, Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. If they ever discontinue this product, Dior, if you're listening to me, if you ever discontinue this product, I'm coming for you. Okay, powders. Now you guys have heard me talk about this one powder over and over. This is no different from 2021. This is the Koh Gen-Do Natural Lighting Powder. It is what I have on my face today. It is a beautiful, beautiful loose powder where you don't need a lot. It definitely sets down your makeup. It definitely mattifies my skin, not to the point where I feel like it looks dry and I'm lacking any sort of like glow to my skin. It adds just the softest kind of like satin sheen to your skin. I mean, it's barely detectable, but it just keeps it from looking too flat. And I love it. I love it. It's another product. It makes my skin look very, very soft. So I love that, and that is my loose powder pick for this year. I did want to mention a pressed powder that I love because I know loose powder is very impractical. It's hard to travel with, it's big, the containers are always giant. So I did want to mention my favorite pressed powder, the one, again, if my makeup collection were to completely disappear, the one pressed powder I would run out and get first, it's the Sicily Fito Poudre Compact, and I use shade number 2 Natural. This I feel like is basically the pressed version of the Kogendo. Just the slightest like satin sheen to it so that it keeps my skin from looking too dry, and it's wonderful. And it's just a straight up basic kind of pressed powder. Actually, and as I'm saying this, I'm realizing, no, I did talk about a different pressed powder in 2021, and that was the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. Now, I want to explain myself. I want to explain my choice, but I do just want to mention that this is just a straight up pressed powder, and it's easy to use, easy to travel with, and I love it. Okay, so the reason why I picked this one instead of the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder, that powder it's wonderful. I still love it. But it's a baked powder, so it's a little bit less straightforward to use. You have to use kind of a dense brush to be able to pick up the powder. And then I like to press it onto my pores where I have like a little bit of blurring action needed. So it's a powder, I feel like it has a little bit more coverage to it as well. So it's just a little bit of a more like kind of, I don't know, like a high maintenance kind of powder. And my makeup style this past year has really gone like low maintenance, like whatever's easiest, whatever's the fastest, whatever's like just, I don't have to think about it. I can just put it on. Those are the makeup pieces that I've been gravitating towards more this past year. So I've been reaching for this one a lot more than a lot of those baked powders that I feel like, require, a certain kind of brush where I feel like I can only put it in certain places on my face. Like I can't put those baked powders all over my face. It would look way too thick, and it would sort of like negate the lightweight foundations that I like and the glowy bases that I like. You just wouldn't see any of it. So I've just been reaching for like just more lightweight kinds of makeup. So the Sicily powder is my pressed powder pick for this year. Okay, let's get into, what's next? Bronzer, yes. Let's talk about bronzer. So this is a change. Last year and probably the year before and the year before that, I talked about the Tom Ford Soleil bronzer in Terra. I still love that bronzer. I think it is wonderful. It's really, really beautiful. That is another product that has just like a really beautiful subtle sheen. But I just love not only the formula of this new bronzer I'm going to talk about, but I love the shade range. Like the Tom Ford, they have 2 shades. They have number 1 and then they have number 2, which is Terra. So Terra is like a little bit more of a neutral tone. The lighter one, something gold dust. Oh my God, what is wrong with my memory? Anyway, that one I feel like is more appropriate for my skin tone. But it's a little bit warmer, and I liked a more of a neutral tone. Anyway, there's only 2 shades in the Tom Ford bronzer. And so I love the Bobbi Brown. I love the Bobbi Brown bronzers. They have like illuminating bronzers. So it's bronzers with like a little bit of a sheen. And then they have just their bronzing powder, which is a straight up matte bronzer. So I fell in love with Bobbi Brown by using Stone Street, which is a little bit deeper than the shade I use now. It's also limited edition, so I didn't want to mention that. But the one that I love to use is Natural because it is just that. I think you can probably see how neutral this tone is. You could use it as a contour, you could use it as a bronzer. It's just the perfect everyday bronzer. So that is Natural. And then the bronzer that I actually have on today is one of the illuminating bronzers, and I have it in Aruba. And it's just gorgeous. It has just a little bit of a glowy sheen to it. So just in case you don't like a matte bronzer, you feel like they look a little bit dry on your skin, which I feel like sometimes they have these illuminating options. So yeah, I just love these bronzers. They blend out beautifully. They're, again, uncomplicated, really easy to use. The Tom Ford bronzers were really soft, and this was their 3rd iteration of this bronzer. And they were really, really soft. And, you get used to it. It's not like it made them, terribly complicated to use, but these are just like no-brainers. They're beginner friendly. Yeah, they're just really, really easy to use. So I just love, love, love these bronzers. The formula, the shade range, the fact that there's 2 different finishes, love them. Okay, let's talk about blush. I do have a cream pick and a powder pick. Let's talk about the powder because that's what I have on my cheeks today. And this was a discovery this past year. So this is new to 2022, to this list. And this is not a new product, simply new to me. And I mean, I don't use this word often, but I am obsessed with this blush. This is the Lancome Blush Subtil in 217. And it has a beautiful, beautiful sheen to it. So it has like a really pretty, just like neutral pink undertone. Then the like glow to it has like a hint of like a cool pink, slightly purple kind of shade. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot stop using this blush. And I started using this blush and I realized it was kind of like a dupe for a Suku blush that I was loving. And Suku is difficult to find here. Suku is, I think most of their products end up being very seasonal and limited edition. So I don't even think you can get the blush anymore. It's one of their melting powder blushes in the shade Karanzaki. And this one is just much easier to find, much easier to find, and part of their Lancome's like regular lines. So I love it. It just goes on smoothly, beautifully. It's not overly pigmented, you know, not like one of those blushes that's like super crazy and you look like a clown instantly. You don't have that problem with Lancome. It is gorgeous. So that is my blush pick for all time absolute favorite blush. And then cream blush. Yeah, I think this changed. I think this changed from last year. So last year I picked the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Blush Sticks, which, as you guys know, I still adore. I still use them all the time. When I travel a lot with Westman Atelier products because they're easy to travel with. But the Kier Weiss cream blushes, they're just so good. They're so good. And maybe these were my pick for like 2020. I'm not sure, but I've talked about these blushes so much. And I have singles, and most recently I've been using these palettes, these cheek collectives, a lot more because, you know, often I'll just go right into the bronzer and then right into the blush. Sometimes I'll use the highlight. You know, it's just great. These are great to travel with as well because they're just fantastic. You could just use your finger. You don't even need to use a brush when you use this product. So this is the blossoming version. And then just recently during the Black Friday Kier Weiss sale, I got Happy. So this is the Happy blush. And then the deeper red blush is Effervescence, is this guy over here. And then this is a highlight. But these two blushes are fantastic because they're cooler than the blossoming blush that's in here. So I liked having this option. And I've been using this for that like cold winter look. Is that what it's called? I don't even know. But like an aspen cheek, you were just out skiing, sledding, building a snowman, whatever it is. This is the blush you want to use. It's gorgeous. And the formula, I don't know what kind of magic is in this formula, but the cream blushes, they just blend beautifully. They're not too oily. They're not too soft. They're not too hard. You can use a brush. You can use your fingers. You can use it over powder. You can use it under powder. And they never fade. They never, ever fade on my cheeks. And I have like a problem when it comes to cream blushes fading on my cheeks. For some reason, my skin just eats it up. The Kier Weiss ones, they never, ever fade. Never. So cream blush, my absolute all-time favorite for this year. Okay, highlight. This is definitely a repeat from last year. So in terms of cream highlights, the Westman Atelier Lit Up Highlight Stick. Is that the full name? Yeah, Lit Up Highlight Stick. So my favorite shade is Nectar. It just has this little bit of peach in there. These highlight sticks are very subtle. You know, if you want that like seen from space kind of highlight, this is not the product for you. These are very, very subtle. They are a cream liquid, so they do like kind of set down. I wouldn't say they set down completely to like a powder or anything like that, but they do set down. I don't find them messy or like my hair doesn't get stuck in them or anything like that. They're just really easy to use. I love the fact that they come in a stick. I think I was just mentioning, I love traveling with these Westman Atelier products because easy, very, very easy. Brush, finger, over powder, under powder, like the same thing. I just love these. So That is gorgeous. And they did just come out with a new shade. It is part of a box. And I get the feeling they're gonna come out with this as part of their regular line. And it's a shade Petal. And it is so, so beautiful because it's cool toned. This actual shade is the perfect complement to that Lancome blush I was talking about, because the Lancome blush, like I was saying, the base color is just this really nice neutral pink, but the sheen to it is cooler and has like just a little bit of like a lilac purple coming off of it, just like this. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I did want to mention this shade, although Nectar has been my longtime favorite, and I'm not sure if they're going to be coming out with this as part of their regular line, but this is part of one of their holiday gift sets. I can't remember the name of it. I'll link it down below. But this is incredible. The formula is incredible. The packaging is great. Just love it. Now my powder highlight pick, this is a change. This is a change. And last year I picked the Burberry, I think like Fresh Highlighter. I think that's the full name. And I still love that highlight. That highlight is gorgeous. It is gorgeous, but it is very bright. It is very metallic. And like I was saying, my makeup style has just changed a little bit. I'm not wearing quite as bright highlight. I mean, not all the time. Of course, every once in a while I do enjoy a bright highlight, but not all the time. It's not the one I reach for anymore. Like if I just want to throw on a highlight. And I have been loving the new Clé de Peau highlights because, let me just show you actually the one that I use the most. This is shade 202 Golden Galaxy. And I don't have it on today because I did throw on the Westman Atelier Nectar, but this highlight was reformulated this past year. So these are the luminizing face enhancers. That's the proper full name. And the previous version of these were much more subtle. They were almost just like a light colored powder without any metallic sheen. They had a little bit, but it was like so gentle and so soft. And I love those. If I was looking for a very soft highlight, I would reach for those. But they revamped the whole shade range, the packaging, and I don't know about the formula, but they definitely amped up the sheen to these highlights. And they're just gorgeous. They're gorgeous. They're, beautiful. The powder is like kind of soft, so it's easy to pick up. It's not like this really difficult kind of like baked highlight. Again, I'm really going for like simple to use makeup. And I mentioned this in my best of 2022 video because again, these were reformulated and a new shade range and all of that. So I thought I could talk about them in 2022. And someone mentioned that they thought it was just way too glittery. So I want to mention that a lot of the Clé de Peau products have an overspray on them. And all of these luminizing face enhancers have an overspray and it's glittery. It's glittery as hell. And you just have to either wipe it away or work through it. It'll probably take you, 4 or 5 uses to get through that overspray. But once you get through the overspray, it's not glittery at all. It's just a very smooth kind of satin. I don't know why they do the overspray. I mean, it's very pretty, but you have to get through. I mean, I just went and like kind of ran my finger over them and just kind of like dusted it away. So anyway, that is my highlighter pick for all-time absolute favorites. Okay, all-time absolute favorite eyebrow product. Last year, I mentioned the Persona, it was their brow gel. I don't know if they have a longer name. They probably do. The Persona brow gel, which I still love. That is an excellent, excellent brow gel. But up until then, it had always been the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. But at that point, I think right when I was making that video, everyone was out of stock. No one knew what was going on. People were like, they're discontinuing it. They're having supply chain issues. They're reformulating it. Like there was all this speculation. And then finally this past year, they came back out with the Fiber Brow Gel and it is reformulated. And when I first used it, I was like, I don't think this is as good as the previous version. It didn't feel like there were a lot of fibers in there. The previous version, you could see it coming off of the spoolie, like all of the fibers. And I really like that because I have like long, sparse eyebrow hairs. Awful, right? Long, sparse eyebrow hairs. So I need the fiber to kind of like fill in my eyebrows. And so I just felt like I was missing that. But there are fibers in the new one and they're just not quite as long, I guess. So I'm back to the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. It is really just so easy to use. It's all I have in my brows. It literally just gives you instant brows. And I've always used the shade Espresso, and I've been starting to use the shade Granite a lot more. So Espresso is just a very deep brown. Granite is like a very cool toned deep brown. So it has like a little bit of a gray in there. And that color is just working better for me. Probably because I have like more gray hairs up here. So like a cooler eyebrow just looks a little bit better. But yeah, this is really great. You guys heard me talk about the Dior Show Onset Brow Gel. I love that one as well. And that like kind of took over this for a little while. But it was like using that and then going back to this, I was like, oh, I think I like this more. That one is a little bit more natural. This one has a lot more like oomph to it. So if your brows need a little bit of help or you just like a bolder brow, this is definitely the one for you. And I do. I need a little bit more help with my brows. So this is back. This is back as my all-time absolute favorite brow product. All right. Eyeshadows. This is probably what you guys have been waiting for because everyone loves a good eyeshadow palette. Let's talk about the palettes first. So I like to talk about like a big palette because in my mind, those are so different from like a smaller palette. And then I have two smaller palettes to talk about. Now, last year, I talked about the Natasha Denona 28 pan palette, the green brown palette. I still love that palette. It is gorgeous. I remember being so intimidated by that palette when I first got it because it has 28 pans. I am no makeup artist. I was like, what do I do with all this? But it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous, especially if you like those neutral browns and if you like to spice things up with the green. It's great. Anyway, I'm talking too much about last year's pick. This year, I decided to go for one, again, that I feel like is just a little bit more in line with like the style, my makeup style. And that's the Natasha Denona Glam palette. And that is what I have on my eyes today. This palette, it's just everything. It has such beautiful, like neutral to cool tone palettes, which I really love. I love a good like warm tone palette as well, but I just feel like these are the shades that I've been gravitating more towards. I love the Natasha Denona formula. I love that there's some mattes and then some shimmers, and they all work together. Like it's just incredible. So what I did today was I used this shade up here, this crease shade. I used that in my crease basically. And then I used this shade like on my outer lid to add a little bit of dimension. I used this shade in the center of my eye, and then I used the shade next to it in the inner corner and like the tear duct area. And then finally I used this shade to kind of like line my eyes. It's just wonderful, but you can go a little bit warmer if you want. There's some like golden tones here. These browns are a little bit warmer versus like these two. And then there's pinks in here. It's just incredible. I love this palette so much. And so I've been reaching for this a lot more. I've been thinking about this one a lot more. And I just really appreciate this one so much. And I've had this now for years, much like the green brown palette. But yeah, I'm just reaching for this one so much more. And I love it. I love it. This is my pick. This is my absolute all-time favorite large eyeshadow palette. Okay, so I have two picks for smaller eyeshadow palettes. I picked this one as like a representative, but these are the Tom Ford Eye Color Creme Quads. I talked about these in my best of 2022 because these just came out, I wanna say, like February or March of this year, but I was swept away by this formula. Absolutely love it. It is so easy to use. It is a cream for sure, but it is not like soft and messy or like a cream shower, moussey or anything like that. It is, I mean, it sits in this pan. It's just really like creamy to the touch, and they just perform beautifully. They blend out beautifully. They have like the right amount of pigmentation, not too much, not too little. They play well with each other. It's not like one cream will pick up the other one or do something strange. They're just amazing. And I picked Violet Sateen just to show you guys because this palette is gorgeous, is absolutely gorgeous. It is definitely not quite as neutral and everyday as like the Rose Topaz or even the Smoky Quartz, but there's like just no denying how gorgeous this palette is. So I wanted to mention this because, yeah, I just kept thinking like, again, if my makeup collection were to just poof, disappear, what would I like run out and get? And this is definitely one, along with the Glam palette and along with this next one I wanted to talk about. Now, I threw this in here because I love it. There's absolutely no doubt how much I love this, but it is very new. And I did also mention this in my best of 2022, but it is the Lisa Eldridge Vega palette. It's just gorgeous. And you'll notice that I picked a lot of cool toned, neutral to cool tone palettes. Yeah, that's just like the mood I've been in. But this palette is just stunning. Despite it only having 6 shades in here, I feel like you can create a ton of different looks. You can just stick with like these 2 mattes here if you're going to the office or you're just, running some errands. You can spice it up with some of these more shimmery ones. And then of course we have these like deeper, more dramatic shades if you want to throw those on for like an evening look. It's so good. It's so good. And there's like, I think 3 different formulas. We've got a velvet, we have a seamless matte, we have metallic, and we have luminous. There's 4 different finishes in this 6-pan palette. So yeah, I think she just really outdid herself with this one. I like all of her palettes. They're all really beautiful. They're all very, very unique. I really like, I would say the second to this is Cinnabar. That palette is gorgeous, but this one is definitely the one I've been reaching for a lot. And can we just talk about this packaging? It's so beautiful. I love it so much. And they're refillable, so you can pop them out on the back. Same with the Natasha Denona. All of Natasha Denona's palettes are refillable. You can kind of pop them out or rearrange them or whatever. So those are my eyeshadow powderish, because we have the cream from Tom Ford. But those are basically like my palette picks. The one cream shadow pick that I wanted to mention are these Sicily ones. And this also appeared in my best of 2022 because this was launched this past year. And last year I mentioned the Westman Atelier iPods, which I still love. Those are absolutely great, but it's just fantastic. It's just worth noting how excellent the formula is on these Sicily shadows. I'm holding up shade number 5 because this is the one that I use the most. But liquid shadows, these like liquid cream shadows, they're hard. They're hard to formulate. I tried so many that were like, these are okay. Like I could make them work. It's like, oh, okay, I have to wear them like over a powder, or I have to wear them over a different shade, or ooh, this is just one to use as like a base or something. This is just goes on smoothly, blends out beautifully, sets down. Just a really wonderful, like one and done liquid shadow. Ones that I've tried that have not worked out for me are like the Chanel ones. Glossier came out with a few that were okay, but they were super thin. I think I tried some from Kosas. Those didn't work for me. Like I've had like some pretty bad luck with liquid eyeshadows, but these are the best by far. No fuss, no muss, easy to use, gorgeous shades. Love them, love them. So had to mention this for all-time absolute favorites. Okay. Mascara. So my absolute all-time favorite mascara I don't have because I used it up and I threw it away, and I've been kind of going through mascaras that I have. So today, and this is definitely, I would say in the top 5, the Lancome Lash Idol, that's what I have today. But my all-time absolute favorite mascara is the Wayne Goss Waterproof Mascara or Weightless Mascara. I think that was my pick for last year. I'm pretty sure it was. It's just, for me, the perfect mascara because I like mascaras that are separating. I like mascaras that are lengthening, and it has to hold my curl. And his mascara, holy moly, holds your curl. There are a few out there in the world that do it, but his does it like whoop, like perfectly. And I just love like the wand that he has. Yeah, it's the perfect formula to me. So the Wayne Goss Weightless Mascara. I need to just finish up a bunch of these mascaras that I have and just get another tube of that because I just miss it. I miss this. I've been thinking about it all year because I don't think I've used it in quite some time. But that mascara, that's the one. That is my absolute favorite. Okay, and eyeliners. This was in my best of 2022 as well because these are new to me. The Hourglass Voyeur Waterproof Gel Eyeliners. These are just great. They're just fantastic because I just talked about them in the best of 2022. I won't go on and on, but they just stay put. They don't budge. I love the shade range. They're absolutely fantastic. They're gel eyeliners, so they like twist up. Again, very, very easy to use. Not my preference. I actually like the ones that you sharpen because I feel like they stay good for longer. That makes sense? Yeah, they stay good for longer. But these, they just go on so smoothly. They're pigmented, but they're not like super thick gel eyeliners. Like they're just very, very smooth. I just love them. I love them. Those are my absolute all-time favorite. Okay, we are down to lips. So we have a new lip liner pick. Now last year I picked the Sicily lip liners, which I still love. They are excellent. But I realized I was just using my Natasha Denona lip liners. I think I have all the shades. And I'm like, okay, obviously these are my favorite. I have like all the shades. It's, you know, when I go digging through my collection, I'm looking for these. Today I have on the NP1 Natasha shade. This is the one that came out with her Dream collection, or not came out because I think the shade existed already. It was re-promoted and kind of like repackaged for her Dream collection. So this is the Natasha one. This is the one that I have on. It's a great, great, cool toned lip liner, which I love. And then I just, yeah, I have like pretty much all of them. I have 7 here. I think she either has 7 or 8 lip liners in total. And just from this line, let me just tell you which one I use the most. I believe it's Ilona. Yeah, it's this one, Ilona. And it is, wow, this needs to be sharpened, but it's very similar to the Natasha. Yeah, they're very, very creamy. They, you know, blend out and smudge out if you want to kind of color in your lips a little bit more. And they're very comfortable. They wear well all day. I don't, you know, they don't really like break up or kind of break away from the lipstick. Have you guys ever had that experience where like the lip liner formula is so different from your lipstick that like they kind of separate and then they fade away differently? That's happened to me like a handful of times. Of course, I can't remember the combination I used, and I would look in the mirror and be like, what is going on? That's never happened with these Natasha Denona lip liners. So yeah, I just really, really enjoy these. And you know, I think to myself, it's like, oh, I love these. I hope she comes out with more shades. But really, she's kind of perfected the shade range. If you're really into like a nude lip, that's it. That's all you need. So that's my all-time favorite lip liner. So the lipstick that I have on, I believe this is a different pick from last year. I'm trying to remember what it was from last year. But this is just tried and true. This is the Chantecaille Lip Veil. And I have it in the shade Tambodi, which is, I would say, their most like nude color. This formula, unparalleled. There's nothing like it. Just so creamy, feels so good on lips. And I kind of mention this all the time when I mention the Chantecaille lip products. You'll just feel like you're wearing like a lip mask or like a lip balm, but it is very clearly a lipstick. And yeah, my lips feel better when I take off this lipstick, which is really just kind of never the case when it comes to lip products. At best, you know, they feel the same, but my lips actually feel like they were nourished, like I've been wearing a lip mask the whole day. Just phenomenal, phenomenal formula. I have to find out, what did I mention last year? I think I mentioned Bond Number 9, which is a fantastic, oh no, I talked about the Armani Lip Powers. Yeah, that's a good lipstick as well, but this is more comfortable than those. The Lip Powers are just a really, really great lipstick in terms of the fact that they feel like a cream, but they kind of stay on like a matte lipstick, and a ton of shades. And I love the packaging and the shape of everything. But this is really just tried and true. I feel like I've been loving these lip veils for years, and maybe I've overlooked them in my all-time absolute favorite video. But yes, this is the year. This is the year. I love, love, love these lipsticks. And then I didn't mention like a tinted balm type of product last year, but I had to mention these because I really have been loving these for a long time. And again, sort of like the Chantecaille, like I guess I've kind of overlooked them, even though they're such a staple, and I would absolutely run out and get these immediately if my collection kind of disappeared. These are the Sicily Fito Lip Twist, and I pulled out the colors that I use the most. Number 7, which you guys know I talk about incessantly because this is one of those bright orangey red shades that I love, that I absolutely love. This is what I was wearing in Sunday's vlog when I was talking about my makeup collection. This is what I had on. One of the first shade, maybe this is the first shade that I purchased. This is number 1. So this is just a very cool tone nude. shade. And then one of their newest shades, which is number 24, is just another great nude shade. It's just a little bit less cool than number 1. And number 1 also has some like micro glitters in there. Can you see how number 1 has like a little bit more of like a purple in there versus the 24, which is more of just sort of like a neutral, kind of natural, and without any sort of micro glitters in this particular color. Yeah, these are just super duper comfortable. They are, I would say, well, they're definitely less pigmented than the Chantecaille. I'm just trying to think in terms of the texture. They're also a little bit thinner. Like the Chantecaille, really, it feels kind of like a lip mask when you're wearing it. Maybe not quite as thick, but like, you know, there's a creaminess to it. These are like a balm, so they're just like a little bit thinner. Probably depends on how much of it you put on, but I find it to be a little bit thinner. They kind of absorb into my lips like a little bit more quickly. But I really love like the whole chubby pencil idea too. Just makes it really easy to put on. I like throwing these into my purse. Yeah, they're just absolutely fantastic. So had to mention these and kind of introduce a tinted balm category in this video. Okay, my gloss pick has not changed and probably will never ever change. This is the Chanel Rouge Coco Gloss in 804. I mean, I've said it all, but if you're new to my channel, I'll say it all again. This Chanel lip gloss, I know it looks like just a pink lip gloss in the tube, but there's something incredibly magical about it. And in fact, I didn't put any on because I wanted to illustrate the difference between no gloss and gloss. So right now I just have the Natasha Denona lip liner and the Chantecaille lip veil. I'm gonna put the gloss on. I do not like glosses that are super shiny, like that mirror finish. That's just not my thing. I get it. I think it looks cool, just not my thing. So I like glosses that have a little bit more of like a satin kind of finish. This gloss, for some reason, whether I wear it alone with some lip liner or if I tap it on top of my lipstick, it just instantly makes my lips look plumper. To the point where I purchased this, which was back in New York, I purchased this like on one of my visits back. I put it on and I'm not lying, I bought this at Barney's, when Barney's was still around on Madison Avenue. A stranger approached me, an absolute stranger, and they're like, are your lips filled or is that what are you wearing? Like she was so like taken by my lips. And I'm like, it's just this Chanel gloss. I had it, I showed her and she was like, oh my God, your lips look incredible. I was like, wow, thank you. And then people that I knew were like, wow, your lips look good. And I'm like, it's this freaking gloss. So I'm not sure what the magic is. I don't know if it's like the level of reflection. I don't know if it's this kind of like pinky shade that just kind of like makes everything look a little bit juicier. I don't know. It's just magic. It is absolutely magic and I love it. I love the formula of the Chanel glosses as well. They're not like sticky. I don't feel like, like none of that is going on. It's very nice. It's a little bit on the thicker side, so it's not like one of those thin glosses, and I like that because it just kind of stays put. And it's great. And like I said, I can wear it with lip liner. I can wear it over my lipstick. I can wear it alone. It's just fantastic. I love this lip gloss. In fact, I have like 3 tubes of this. One to keep here, one in my purse, and one upstairs. Love it that much. Okay, and last but not least, finishing powder. This is a repeat from last year and probably the year before and the year before that, but the Guerlain Meteorites. This is an incredible finishing powder. I didn't know how to use it when I first got it, and I did not like it. But when I learned how to use it, and one of my favorite channels here on YouTube, Tara Babies, she basically demoed it, and I was like, yes, I get it now. So my favorite combo is to use the Guerlain Meteorites in medium, that's the shade that I like to use, and the Sonia G Buffer Pro Brush. Now, what I do is I shake it up a little bit, I turn it over, so I get a little bit of the product on the cap, because you don't need a lot of it. So I have some product on the cap. I pick all of it up with the Buffer Pro. And you can use also the Sonia G Smooth Buffer, which is just a little bit smaller than this, but it's the same idea. And I've also found that there are not any other brushes that work as well as this Buffer Pro brush. And what I like to do, and I hope you guys can see this, I pounce it and then I buff. And what it does is it gives you like marble skin. I hope you guys can see that. It gives you marble skin. And I've talked about how I equate this with like one of those Zamboni, like commercial office floor polishers. I don't know if you've ever worked in one of those giant office buildings where they have those guys, they're like little Zambonis at night, basically polishing like the marble floor. This is basically what you're doing with your cheek. Now, I don't like using finishing powder like all over my face. I just like using it kind of like on the big planes of my face. So like my cheeks and maybe like right here on my forehead. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more, do the same thing over here. And again, I hope you guys can see this, but I'm just gonna pounce here and just buff. Yes, your skin will look like marble. It will look like one of those commercial building marble floors after it's been polished. So that is it. That is it for my 2022 version of my all-time absolute favorite luxury makeup. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I had a lot of fun coming up with this list and like debating with myself whether or not, is it this product or the one from last year? I had a lot of fun. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.